Welcome to the League of Women Voters North Andover Candidates Night here at the North Andover CAM studio. The League is a nonpartisan political organization for women and men which encourages informed and active participation in government. Tonight's forum is part of our voter education efforts. You can find out more about what the League is up to on our state website, lwvma.org, or on our local website, lwv-andovers.org. or by checking out our League of Women Voters Andover and North Andover Facebook page. If you are interested in getting involved locally, or if you have any feedback about tonight's forum or questions for the candidates tonight, you can contact us through lwvforum@lwv-andovers.org. Tonight's forum is an abbreviated version of what we would normally present. Storms, power outages, and trying to coordinate the schedules of the candidates, North Andover CAM, a moderator, and all of the volunteers has been very challenging. So tonight's forum will feature the candidates for town moderator. It will also feature videotaped statements from the town moderator candidates, as well as the three candidates for the Board of Selectmen. Both the school committee seats and the North Andover Housing Authority seat were unopposed. I encourage all voters to contact any of these candidates if you have questions for them prior to voting. You can find their websites and Facebook pages on our League of Women Voters Andover North Andover Facebook page, or just by simply doing a search online. If you are watching this forum live right now, you can send in questions for the town moderator candidates during the next few minutes. To that LWV forum at lwv-andovers.org, which should be located on your screen. Questions must apply to all candidates for this board, and we will try to ask as many as we can this evening. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to our live audience for being here. Thank you for the candidates. We will now begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise as you are willing and able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I will now introduce our moderator for the evening, Stephanie Traina, who resides in Andover and is a member of our local Andover North Andover League. Stephanie?
Thank you, Heather, and thank you for inviting me to be your moderator. North Andover's local elections will be held Tuesday, March 27th at the North Andover High School. Voters will be choosing 2 selectmen, 2 school committee members, 1 moderator, and 1 member of the North Andover Housing Authority. Tonight's forum will feature the 2 candidates for North Andover's town moderator, Gerald Brecker and Mark Desalvo. This segment will be followed by the videotaped statements filmed by North Andover CAM, featuring the moderator and Board of Selectmen candidates, in addition to voting information from North Andover's town clerk, Joyce Bradshaw. We now continue by presenting the 2 candidates running for 1 3-year term as town moderator, Gerald Brecker and incumbent Mark Desalvo. You will each have 2 minutes for an opening statement, and this will be followed by a question and answer period during which you will have 1 minute to answer each question, followed by a 1-minute open discussion period. I may then ask some lightning round questions which require very brief answers as well, and will conclude with 1-minute closing statements. So, for your opening statements, Mr. Brecker, you have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, I'm Jerry Brecker. North Andover has a choice this year for moderator. I'm the citizen candidate, not the politician candidate, and I ask for your votes on Tuesday, March 27th. I've lived in North Andover more than 28 years. My wife, Louise Bork, and I were married at our house in North Andover on the day of the sheep shearing festival. We've lived here ever since, and we raised 3 children here with a solid foundation in our fine schools. During college at Johns Hopkins, I was a page at the 1964 Democratic National Convention. I took leave from law school at the University of Pennsylvania to become the principal speechwriter for Justice Arthur Goldberg, the Democratic candidate for governor of New York in 1970. I worked in Washington for U.S. Senator Birch Bayh and I came to Boston to work for Attorney General Bob Quinn. My working experience with parliamentary procedure at the highest level and my legal and legislative experience will ensure that warrant articles and motions brought before town meeting will always be clear and that every voice will be heard. I've been attending and participating constructively in town meeting ever since Louise and I moved here. North Andover's town meeting is the bulwark of our democratic self-government. Town meeting gives the citizens of North Andover the last word. But in North Andover, the people truly are in charge. But we risk losing the relationship of trust if there is even a hint that the moderator leans toward any agenda, prefers any party, or favors any faction, whether presiding at town meeting or appointing members of the Finance Committee. Town meeting needs to be able to trust that the moderator is steering only one course, and that course is straight down the middle. That's the only course I will steer as moderator, straight down the middle. That's my pledge to the people of North Andover. It's why I'm running for moderator, and it's why I'm asking for your votes. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Desalvo.
I've had the privilege of being town moderator in North Andover for the last 6 years. When I first ran for town moderator, I promised you that I would be fair, open, and efficient. And I'm quite certain that under every circumstance, you can have confidence that I have been exactly that, fair, open, and efficient. I brought significant innovation and initiative to our town meeting to drag a 17th century tradition into the 21st century. Ethics is a really important word to me, so much so that I instituted, and we are the only town meeting in the Commonwealth that institutes and has a requirement for a conflict of interest, a requirement to state personal financial interest if in fact a speaker has one. So you can be wholly certain that there is fully transparent motivations relative to the judgment that you make at town meeting. I brought technology to town meeting, technology such as electronic check-in, large screens, real-time editing of and track changes of warrant articles. Most importantly, the tabulation, a recognition that one can recognize that the vote that's being tabulated is in fact that which has been stated. My Finance Committee is the most diverse in our community's history, both gender, geography, and ideologically. I am, without equivocation, and have promised to continue to be fair, open, and efficient. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move on to questions from citizens. You have up to 1 minute, and then that optional 1 minute open discussion. So the first question goes to you, Mr. Desalvo. Would you support the formation of a town charter commission? And if so, what would you do to facilitate the petition process?
So I believe that there ought to be a regular and consistent review of town government. I have no objection to a charter commission process. I've already signed the petition and would welcome and contribute as either an official or as a citizen to that process. I do think that we need to have a regular order of review. That's why during my tenure as town moderator, I have conducted surveys. Over 1,000 people have answered surveys that I've produced in order to discover what are on people's minds. And I think that regular and consistent review is an entirely appropriate thing to conduct.
Thank you. Mr. Brecker.
I sat on a appointed committee to review possible revisions to town charter 10 years ago, so I'm familiar with the process. I would say that without town meeting in North Andover, we would have trash fees and the world's largest marijuana manufacturing facility. So I think that we would, at our peril, give up a town meeting easily, which is not to say that we should not periodically review what works and what doesn't, and what is it that the citizens want. Because in the end, it's not about what the moderator wants or the elected officials even. It's just not. It's about what the people want. And as moderator, I think it's incumbent on either of us to help the people get together and make their decisions. And that's my view on that.
Thank you. Mr. Desalvo, do you have anything further to add?
Only that I've been part of a town charter commission effort. I was not elected, nor did I seek election to that charter commission, but I attended every single meeting of that charter commission, and I know what a difficult, trying, diligent process that it happens to be. And I would anticipate if we, in fact, go through the voting process and have that, it would continue to be so, and I would trust the judgment of our community.
Thank you. Mr. Brecker, anything else you'd like to add?
I have nothing to add. As I say, this is the people's choice. We have a democracy in North Andover. We're lucky to have a town meeting. If people think that they want a different system, then that's the people's right.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask a follow-up question for the next question. So this goes to Mr. Brecker first, and that is, do you think the role of town moderator should be further defined in a possible revision of the town charter? And if so, how would you define it? You have 1 minute.
Historically, town meetings elected their moderators at each meeting. That's how it used to be done. The notion that the moderator is an official of the town who has a policy-making role is, I think, ahistorical and inappropriate. The moderator's job is to facilitate the meeting and to make certain appointments as prescribed in the charter. The charter could certainly denote that someone else makes those appointments. It's not coming down from Sinai on stone tablets that the moderator makes those appointments. I think that the moderator's job needs to be more modest. I think the moderator's job is to help the meeting work its will. The meeting should be about the people, not about the moderator. It's what the people have to say. It's not about what the moderator has to say. The moderator's job, as I say, is to facilitate the meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Desalvo.
I think I've engendered the practice, the history, and the kind of model that a moderator should be. I've run exactly as I've promised, a fair, open, and efficient meeting. I've appointed people to our finance committee and to our school building committee who are diligent, who have the obligation, skills, knowledge, and responsibility to be able to do their jobs. I'll continue to do that. I'll do the planning, the work, all of the effort behind the scenes, and most importantly, respect the opinions and the opportunity for people to speak, to do so in a responsible manner, and continue, if I should remain as town moderator, to do as I have promised.
Thank you. Okay. So we will move on to the next question. I just got a little messed up with my papers, pardon me. Okay.
Happens to all of us.
This question goes to Mr. Desalvo first. Okay. Do you think it's more important, this came in via email, do you think it's more important to have an efficient town meeting where everyone who attends the first night or first couple of hours is able to vote, or for as many voices as possible to be heard, even if it means meeting multiple nights or hours? How would you make that call?
I don't make that call, except to say that I've told you about being fair, open, and efficient. That's in that order. It is far more important to be fair and far more important to be open than efficient. And I would also suggest to you that if you are fair and open, you will enjoy the benefit of an efficient town meeting. In past years, we've seen multiple night town meetings prior to my selection as town moderator. It's not my reason, my election hasn't been reason why we haven't had multiple nights, except to say that folks have appreciated that we've gotten our business done in a reasonable order, and I do believe that fairness and openness takes precedence over efficiency.
Thank you. Mr. Brecker.
I think that the meeting should move along briskly. I think it should start on time. I think there should be less speechifying before the meeting begins. I think we need to get right down to business. I've heard this in particular from older people who don't drive at night, from young families who have small children. They want to get in and out if they can. At the same time, every voice must be heard, and there shouldn't be any confusion about what motions mean and what votes, what the consequences of votes are. I think part of being fair, of course, is to make sure that minority voices are heard, particularly on town boards. And the notion that all the boards should be unified in their opinions is pernicious. And it may lead to more efficiency, but it certainly doesn't lead to more openness or more fairness.
So, Mr. Desalvo, do you have anything to add?
I'd like to ask Mr. Brecker if he's suggesting that my responsibility and actions as town moderator have been pernicious.
Actually, the question was to you, so I don't think you want to be questioning one another. So, okay.
I mean, if,
All right, sure.
if the opportunity is to talk about
you can discuss,
the various
sure.
performance and issues and things that have come up, I'm happy to do it, but I don't think that's what the question implied.
Well,
no, your answer implied differently.
My answer did not imply that. My answer said that the notion that all the boards should be unified is pernicious because, in the words of Justice Jackson, one of our greatest Supreme Court justices, forced compliance with only one opinion leads only to the unanimity of the graveyard.
And I would tell you that our town meeting has evidenced a significant amount of disparate opinion, one that I have encouraged and allow, and my rules and regulations and the conduct of the meeting suggest in every circumstance that has been the case. We have had a fair and open discussion in every one of the 7 town meetings that I have moderated.
Madam Moderator, may I respond? Because
yes, you may.
I think it's important, in particular because of the emphasis that the current moderator has placed in his opening statement and the repetition of the word open, that we do need to talk about something specific and about openness. In particular, the notion that the current moderator mentioned about the disclosure. At the town meeting, it's been said that we're all better off if everybody discloses their family and financial ties to articles under consideration. I know that the current moderator was not prepared to disclose his family and financial ties in the marijuana debate and town meeting. And I know this because he and I had a discussion about it an hour before the meeting started, and he told me he would not disclose his family and personal financial investments in the marijuana industry. And we had a discussion about it. I think that he thought better of it, and an hour later at the meeting he did disclose it. But it's absolutely clear to me that he would not have disclosed it had we not had the conversation before. So it seems to me that the notion of openness and rules about disclosure, it's sort of, well, maybe they're for everybody else, but not for some people.
Mr. Brecker, that happens to be patently untrue. In fact, I advised Mr. Brecker that I was ready to disclose to the meeting at a time appropriate. I didn't have an obligation to tell him when I would do exactly that. Secondly, I advised him in that conversation that I had already signed an affidavit that said that I did not have any conflict of interest or any personal financial interest in any of the articles that were in front of us. I've done that as a matter of course, and I continue to stand and abide by my own sense of ethics, my own responsibility, and I require that the rules that I have for all members of town meeting apply to myself as well.
Thank you. Thank you both.
You're welcome.
So we will move on to an audience question, and Mr. Brecker, you will have the first chance to answer this. So as a moderator of town meeting, a citizen stands and presents an amendment to the motion under consideration in writing. What do you do next, and how would you at some point cut off debate? So this is sort of a for instance.
Well, I don't know what the difference is between cutting off debate on amendments and cutting off debates on main motions would be. At some point, the debate has worn itself out, where people are saying the same thing over and over again. And at that point, I think it's a question of taking the temperature of the room and asking people whether they believe they've heard enough. And the room will tell you. We've seen this happen before under this moderator and under the prior moderator. I think it is important that amendments be carefully crafted so that they don't have unintended consequences. I think part of that is having some legal training and experience in the legislative realm. But I think that people should be entitled to. It's their meeting. It's not the moderator's meeting. It's their meeting, and they should be entitled to present to the meeting whatever they think is good for the town. And it's not the moderator's job to make judgments about that. It's simply to help people say what they have to say, so that every voice is heard and all the motions and amendments are clear.
Thank you. Mr. Desalvo.
Sometimes the town meeting process is intimidating, particularly to people who don't often come to town meeting. And that's why I instituted citizen advocates, the concept of people who are available to help those who might be unaware about what the processes are. And those citizen advocates that I've appointed are trained individuals, have been counsel to entities, trained lawyers generally, who are able to assist those people who might have an amendment, don't have an ability to be able to form it, but have a notion as to that which they wish to say. They come before the town meeting. I've always tried to give people the rope to be able to present what their interests are and hope that, in fact, the meeting affords them the opportunity to listen. It is not the moderator's responsibility, however, to define someone's argument. It is the moderator's responsibility to give people the opportunity to present their own case.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Brecker, do you have anything further to add?
No, thank you.
Mr. DeSalvo?
We're good.
Okay. I kind of thought so, but I wanted to give you the chance. So this question goes to you first, Mr. DeSalvo. What do you think is a reasonable and fair process for choosing members of the Finance Committee in order to achieve a balanced representation of the North Andover population? To cite a recent example on another question that came in, the Finance Committee weighed in with great strength on the marijuana facility proposal, with 5 of 5 voting in favor of the project. So could you address how you appoint a Finance Committee to reflect?
Well, first, let me correct the record. There are 9 members of the Finance Committee, not 5 members of the Finance Committee.
Thank you.
And I have selected, it's a very difficult process, where you review those people you recruit. Some people desire to be members. Folks volunteer. And I spend significant amount of time in concert with other members of the Finance Committee helping design that which the committee requires at that moment in time. Sometimes there are issues that are proximate in front of the committee and in front of the town, and you wish to appoint a Finance Committee that has someone with the specific strengths. It might be municipal finance, it might be urban planning as a circumstance. But in every case, I seek to employ people who have the diligence and capacity to be able to do the job, have the independence to do the job, and who clearly represent the disparate opinions and the disparate makeup of our community. And I think it's been quite clear that I've demonstrably done exactly that.
Thank you. Mr. Brecker.
I think that recent events are not the first time that members of the Finance Committee that have been appointed by this moderator have waded into town politics. The first one that I was aware of was last year's selectman election, where one of the members of the Finance Committee touting her own credentials as a member of the Finance Committee, quite strongly attacked a candidate for selectman, which I thought was unusual and inappropriate. We know that recently 2 members of the Finance Committee hijacked and sabotaged the event that was supposed to happen on Monday night at Edgewood and prevented all the senior citizens there, perhaps hundreds, from seeing the candidates with their in their own facility. And now the chairman of the Finance Committee has taken to attacking candidates in the newspapers. I think that's all inappropriate. We shouldn't have a politician moderator appointing people who are politically active on the Finance Committee.
Thank you. Mr. Desalvo, something to add?
This citizen moderator will not allow this candidate for moderator to impugn the integrity of the volunteers who serve as Finance Committee members. Every citizen in this community has the right to an opinion. Every citizen in this community has the right to express that opinion. And members of the Finance Committee are no different. And I'd only add that as to hijacking a forum, it was Mr. Brecker himself who chose to inappropriately suggest and impugn the capacity of volunteers and the interest and good faith of those volunteers in order to bring individuals in our community the opportunity to understand and hear us. And they didn't have that opportunity because of your actions, Mr. Brecker, not for anyone else's actions.
Thank you, Mr. Brecker.
That's a remarkable assertion, and particularly from somebody who just impugned my integrity.
Not at all.
You say that our conversation, as I describe it, was, what did you call it, a bald-faced lie or something?
I didn't use that word.
Well, you got pretty close to it. I know what we said, and I know you're embarrassed by the fact that you told me that you wouldn't disclose and that you didn't have to. I questioned that, and I asked you, were you prepared to give that answer if somebody asked you that question from the floor? And I really thought I was doing you a favor. I had no idea I was going to end up running for moderator. This was days before anyone had even talked to me about it. I knew there were people who might have asked you for that. As I say, I was trying to do you a favor. I didn't hijack and sabotage the Edgewood event. I did point out that a last-minute appointment of a member of the Democratic Town Committee as a moderator for a debate where you, as the boss of the Democratic Town Committee, and Phil D Calogero as the vice chairman of that committee, were going to be sitting as candidates. I mean, how hard is that to understand that it was inappropriate for whoever put him up to it to ask Mr. Degatti, a member of the committee, and that's not even going into the other issues about it. So that's just not. It makes no sense. And no one is impugning the integrity of the Finance Committee. My only point is that if a highly political moderator only appoints people on the same side who lean in his direction, then the inevitable result will be that the Finance Committee's recommendations and analysis will be called into question. People will wonder, are they doing this because it's the right thing, or are they doing this because they owe somebody and it's a political thing? So that's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
Well, you're trained as an attorney, sir, and you know the difference between allegation and evidence, and there's absolutely no evidence about the capacity of the Finance Committee and the independent judgments that they make. There's been anything other than their judgments, having nothing to do with me, because as they have told you themselves, I have no influence over the judgments that they make. I have asked no member at any moment in time to vote in any way. In fact, I didn't know most of the members that I've appointed prior to having interviewed them for that role. I don't know much or anything, for the most part, of their political leanings, but I do know what their independent capacity is as individuals to be able to weigh in and investigate and do diligence on the things that they have an obligation of doing so. And as to our conversation, you may remember it in one fashion, but I in fact told you that I had signed that affidavit.
I remember
and
that.
Yes, and that I would address the matter as I saw fit to address. And later in the meeting, I chose at the opening of the meeting to address the matter. By the way, I will also tell you that in conversation with Town Council and with the Ethics Commission, they told me that I had no obligation to address the matter that I did. but in an abundance of caution, I chose to share that with the meeting. And the meeting obviously had no objection.
We had an additional conversation, you may recall, around the Degatti appointment.
I actually do
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think we should
That's fine.
wrap up.
That's
Thank
fine.
you very much.
Sure, thank you.
So I think we have time for one quick answer. I'm just trying to figure out whether we've got enough time. Can we go over? Okay. So this will be like a one-sentence answer.
This is the lightning round?
This is the lightning round. So Mr. Brecker, you first. How many times have you voted in the annual town election in the last 5 years?
5.
Okay. Mr. Desalvo.
I, too, have voted 5. I would tell you, however, that the record suggests that Mr. Brecker is inaccurate. He has voted twice in the last 5 town elections.
Well, if I haven't voted in the last 10 elections, it's because I was out of town. Otherwise, I vote in every election, and I've attended probably, in the 28 years I've lived here, 20, maybe more, some number more than 20 of the town meetings.
Thank you.
I, too, have been out of town a fair amount, and I vote in every single election.
I admire your diligence.
Should you
Thank
have
you.
the fortune of being town moderator, you're going to need to show up to more than 40% of the meetings.
Thank you.
You may be sure I will.
Oh, good.
All right. We're going to move on to closing statements. On March 27th, the voters will have the opportunity to vote for one of you for North Andover's town moderator. You may each take up to 1 minute to give a closing statement. Mr. Desalvo, you first.
I've promised you that I would be fair, open, and efficient. I think it is a demonstrable fact. I'm confident that it's a demonstrable fact that I have been exactly that. If you've enjoyed the benefit of town meeting over these last 6 years, I would ask you to allow me to remain. But in any circumstance, I invite you to do 2 things. Please vote on Tuesday, March 27th, and also come to town meeting on May 15th. I promise you that I'll be there on May 15th. I'll either be presiding as town moderator or I'll be sitting in the audience as a citizen. Both of them are honorable roles, and I invite you to join all of us at that time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Brecker.
North Andover has a choice for moderator, and I'm asking for your help to restore the relationship of trust. I ask for your votes at the town elections next Tuesday, March 27th. North Andover has the choice to restore genuine neutrality. North Andover has the choice to elect a citizen candidate, not a highly partisan political activist and politician. The choice to restore modesty to the moderator position. It's about what the people of North Andover have to say. It's not about what the moderator has to say. Over the past 7 weeks, I've heard from our neighbors in all corners of this town about their desire for change. North Andover has the choice to vote for that change next Tuesday. The choice to restore the relationship of trust. I'm Jerry Brecker, the citizen candidate for moderator, and I ask for your votes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much again to our candidates and to all of our volunteers who helped organize and run tonight's event, especially to Brian Frazier, Susan Martin, and the crew at North Andover CAM. Please stay tuned for pre-recorded candidate statements from the town moderator and Board of Selectmen candidates, as well as voting information from Town Clerk Joyce Bradshaw. And for more information on our local league, please visit the state website, www.lwvma.org, or our League of Women Voters of Andover, North Andover Facebook page, or lwv-andovers.org as well. And please send any feedback about tonight's forum to lwvforum@lwvandovers.org. You can find out more about North Andover CAM and ways to view and share this event at northandovercam.org. Remember to vote on Tuesday, March 27th at the North Andover High School. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Thank you for joining us.
My name is Phil D Calogero. I'm chairman of the North Andover Board of Selectmen, and for the past 3 years, I've served as a member of that board, serving at a time when the board's membership has evolved to the point that this board's makeup of age, gender, a combination of new and old, and varied life experiences make this the most representative of our community and our town's long history. It's because of our diverse background and experiences that we've been able to work together in moving North Andover in an exciting direction. In the past 3 years, we've seen a new fire station built, a new school administration building, a renovated town hall where all town departments have been moved under one roof on our main street. We just opened our renovated DPW building in February, and this spring, we're going to break ground on a new kindergarten for all of the students of North Andover. We've done all of this without raising property taxes through overrides, and while achieving a AAA bond rating, the highest level possible and a first for North Andover. We became one of the first communities in New England to offer curbside textile recycling, a program that has diverted 50,000 pounds of waste from our trash stream, and that's only since May. We've grown the senior tax relief program, nearly doubling the number of participants and increasing the amount of money to be earned towards relief. We worked with our school committee to hire an in-house legal counsel to provide reliable, accessible legal support to officials and staff. We used that legal counsel to update our licensing regulations for the first time in years. For much of my tenure, I served on the board's appointment subcommittee and interviewed and appointed almost 60 diverse residents to volunteer boards and committees. These volunteers play an important role in doing good things for our town, which is why for the first time in anyone's memory, I advocated for inviting our boards and committees to actually attend selectmen meetings, to provide annual updates to the Board of Selectmen, for us to hear feedback and guidance so that we can all work together to move our town forward. Guidance and direction is important. This is why I was eager to see us begin the process of creating a new master plan, a blueprint for our community. When I joined the Board of Selectmen, I was disappointed that we hadn't bothered putting together a new master plan in almost 20 years. In fact, the standing plan referenced studies and strategies from before I was even born. This is why I joined with fellow selectmen to encourage the development of a new master plan. We included funding in our budget so that we could have the most efficient process. And I sat on the committee that interviewed residents and put together the team of 9 individuals who have worked tirelessly to solicit feedback from across our town as they develop a 21st century plan for our community. I hope to be reelected to see this plan be implemented. I am proud to have spearheaded the creation of North Andover's first farmers market. Because of the hard work of many, we have a farmers market that brings people back to our main street. This foot traffic doesn't just bring hundreds of people to our downtown each weekend. It was also intentionally set up to be right by our senior housing, so that we can make it as easy as possible for as many seniors as possible to have access to fresh food and produce. And with SNAP being available at several booths, everyone has access. I hope to earn your vote so that I can continue exploring ways to bring back people to our downtown and supporting our residents and neighborhoods. Our public safety officers now all carry Narcan, the chemical used to revive people who have tragically overdosed from heroin, so that our police and fire are best positioned to save lives when responding to tragedies. The issue of addiction remains vexing, and the state and federal government need to do more. Frankly, they can never do enough. I'm proud that Town Hall is stepping up to fill its role. This year, the town's budget includes funding for a mental health program and counselor, an initiative modeled successfully after our neighbors in Andover, and that will not only support families battling addiction, but also residents and families dealing with the long list of mental health ailments that remain stigmatized in today's society. This was achieved through working with Dr. Tom Trowbridge on our Board of Health, North Andover Police Lieutenant E.J. Folds, and even included me meeting several times with members of the Andover Board of Selectmen. I look forward to continue working with these advocates to successfully implement this new program in the coming months. You can learn more about this initiative, as well as everything else I've mentioned, by visiting www.philforselectmen.com. Much of this success is not the result of the Board of Selectmen, or should I say, just the Board of Selectmen. It's the result of people, volunteers, town staff, and officials all working together. This teamwork and community spirit is why I'm proud to say that I am a lifelong resident. Maybe it's why after graduating from North Andover High, I chose to stay and earn my degree at Merrimack College. And our community success and spirit is definitely why my wife and I couldn't have thought of a better place to raise our 3 daughters. On March 27th, you have 2 votes for selectmen. I respectfully ask for one of your votes so that I can continue working hard to make our town even better. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lynn Rinna Key, and I'm a candidate for selectman. I'm new to running for office, but not new to the community. I grew up in Peabody and moved to North Andover about 25 years ago. One of my earlier jobs was managing some of the town's largest developments. In managing communities, you learn opinions often differ, but you must listen and reach out to the community as a whole before steering the direction of new policies. Involving the community first leads to a better final result. In my 25 years of experience in property and project management, I've worked with developers, trustees, and owners of small to large residential and mixed-use projects throughout the state. Running communities includes overseeing finances, loans, and capital plans, as well as managing staff. I've run wastewater systems and managed maintenance for facilities and roadways. I've learned about community involvement and the value it can add while working with numerous volunteer boards and trustees. In 2012, I volunteered my time and expertise to the town that I chose as my home. I was appointed to the planning board where I served for 5 years. During my time on planning, I worked on the committee to modify downtown zoning, which aided the promotion of growth for East and West Mill. I was always sensitive to how changes might impact neighbors in the community. East and West Mill have grown and developed in a way that benefits our town. I look forward to watching the owner's vision evolve. The purpose of the zoning bylaw is the promotion of the health, safety, convenience, morals, and welfare of the town. I've always worked to ensure this and will continue to do so as a selectman. I'm also proud of the work I did with the planning director and fellow board member Peter Boynton producing informational pieces for homeowners within the Lake Kachikwick watershed. The mailer explained what could and should be done to protect our drinking water. It's not easy telling fellow residents about rules that can cost them money. Believing knowledgeable homeowners would likely cooperate with maintaining our drinking water, we paid attention to conveying the reasons behind these rules. The educational pieces were well received and had positive feedback. I worked on many great projects here in town, like the Lake Cleanup Day, the new fire station, the Department of Public Works, and school administration buildings, and the Fajetta Farms mixed-use development, to name a few. Fajetta Farm public hearings brought many members of the community and school committee to the discussions, addressing important topics like growth in housing and its impact on the schools. From working on such a broad range of projects, I've become an advocate for zoning bylaws that are cohesive, coherent, and user-friendly. I sat on the Master Plan Steering Committee and had the pleasure of interviewing volunteers and making recommendations for the final committee. The master plan is well underway, and the community outreach has been tremendous. As we worked toward creating the plan, one thing became clear. Implementing the plan is as important as creating it. For the first time, we agree upon having a working group to bring forward the community's goals. All this work reinforces the need to listen and resolve potential impacts before setting out on a new path. As a select woman, I'll continue to conduct public outreach, even if I go it alone, door to door, or on the phone. Through budgeting for hundreds of community developments, I've learned one can have great credit, a balanced budget, and savings, but you still must act responsibly. Streamlining processes, taking care of preventative maintenance, and using best management practices can save on minor and major expenses. Budgeting for small communities means poring over every line item, including contracts and invoices. Involvement in day-to-day work leads to a better result. These lessons worked in residential developments, and they'll work for our town. As I've campaigned door to door, I've heard great suggestions, both small and large, on ways our town can save money. If we pay attention to our expenditures, we'll be better positioned to fund important projects like roads, sidewalks, public safety, seniors, and supporting our schools. As a daughter of a military veteran, I want to do more for our veterans. These quality of life issues ultimately correlate to the value of our homes. Community involvement makes a difference. As a select woman, I'd advocate for more public meetings between various town boards and committees. The Osgood Landing Smart Growth Overlay District Committee, formed to make recommendations for modifying the bylaw for town meeting, is a good example of various groups working together. It was comprised of one member from planning, zoning, selectmen, director of community development, and one town resident. As the representative from planning, I found working with people from different perspectives very productive. I look forward to working for our town as a selectwoman. I ask you vote for me on March 27th.
Hello, my name is Dick Valancourt. I'm a candidate for re-election to the North Andover Board of Selectmen. I'm asking for your vote on Tuesday, March 27th. A little bit about myself. My parents were business owners on Main Street, and that's where I spent most of my early years. I'm a North Andover High graduate. I received my Bachelor's of Science in Computer Science from UMass Lowell, a Master's in Information Technology, and an MBA from Southern New Hampshire University. Professionally, I worked for AT&T and Lucent Technologies on Osgood Street, North Andover for 21 years as an IT specialist, and left to pursue a new position in 2006 at Cisco Systems as a global systems designer. I have been employed at Cisco for 12 years. My wife Kathy and I chose to raise our 3 children in North Andover. My family was very active in the school and town activities. We volunteered often. When my children began their college years in 2008, I began to serve on a variety of town committees. I served as the treasurer of the North Andover Booster Club for 6 years. I was a founding member of the North Andover Merchants Association and served as its first president for 2 years, guiding the organization through some turbulent startup issues. We grew the membership from about a dozen founding members to 100 local businesses. NAMA is still flourishing today with a very strong membership and donating thousands of dollars annually for scholarships, sports programs, and other philanthropic pursuits, all within North Andover. I also served on the North Andover Zoning Board of Appeals for 6 years, sitting on hundreds of appeals during that period. I'm proud to currently serve as a member of the Affordable Housing Trust, whose mission is to provide for the preservation and creation of affordable housing in the town of North Andover for the benefit of low and moderate income households, as well as seniors. I have served on the North Andover Board of Selectmen for 6 years, 2 of which as chair. I'm proud of my time as a member of the North Andover Board of Selectmen. When I first campaigned in 2012, I based my platform on 3 items: public safety, economic development, and collaboration. Since then, I have learned that the secret to a successful outcome is collaboration. Over the last 6 years that I have spent as a selectman, I have discovered that the ability to collaborate and work together with other boards, committees, and commissions has moved North Andover forward and enabled us to address major infrastructure issues on time, within budget, and without the need for debt exclusions. We have been able to raise our cash reserves from $5 million in 2012 to $17.4 million in 2018, which includes free cash, which has grown from $2.3 million to $9.7 million during that same period. For the past 3 years, S&P has given North Andover a AAA bond rating. Water and sewer rates have not increased in 6 consecutive years, and if the fiscal 19 budget is approved at town meeting, this will be the 7th year. We have also had consensus budgets for 5 years, and again, if approved, this will be the 6th consecutive consensus budget. During these past few years, the town and its leadership has been successful in moving North Andover forward and establishing fiscal soundness. But our success story does not end here. I look forward to the exciting opportunities ahead of us. I am committed to continue to work with the owners of 1600 Osgood Street to find the right fit for that property, as we attempted to do with the proposal to Amazon, as well as the other businesses and parcels along Route 125 corridor. This is a very important part of North Andover, and we need to ensure it is built out with the best use possible. We have just completed the Facilities Master Plan, which brought to us the new Kittredge School gym, a school administration building, state-of-the-art fire station, a renovated town hall, and an addition to the DPW building. We are now looking to build a new kindergarten, a senior center, renovation of the central fire station on Johnson Street, and, if approved, a total makeover of the middle school fields, which will become a recreation centerpiece for the town and will have something for everyone. And finally, as we roll out the town's new master plan, I am enthused to begin to work on the implementation of that plan in conjunction with other town boards and committees, town staff, and of course, most importantly, the residents of North Andover. The residents have played a key role in contributing input to the master plan. We need to maintain that momentum and to continue to provide input as we begin the implementation of that plan. We have made great progress. I hope you will vote for me on March 27th, and we will continue the momentum together. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Jerry Brecker, and I'm running for moderator. We in North Andover have a choice this year for the moderator position. I am running as the citizen candidate, not as the politician candidate. North Andover town elections are on Tuesday, March 27th. I would be grateful for your vote. I'd like to talk with you about why the choice for moderator between a citizen candidate and a politician candidate is important for all of us as homeowners, parents, town employees, taxpayers, and citizens of North Andover. I've been your neighbor more than 28 years. My wife, Louise Bork, and I were married here the day of the sheep shearing festival, and we raised 3 children here. I've been attending and participating in town meeting ever since. Town meeting was something right out of that Norman Rockwell painting. People freely speaking their minds and the business of the town in the hands of its citizens. And presiding over town meeting was the moderator, Mr. Salisbury, steady, competent, and modest. The moderator knew the procedure inside and out, explained things clearly, made sure every voice was heard, and moved the meeting along at a brisk pace. The meeting was not about the moderator and what he had to say. The focus of the meeting was clearly about the people and their business, the town's business. Many contentious issues came before town meeting during those years. Trash fees, strip clubs, incinerators, cell phone towers, school funding, budget deficits, and tax overrides, rezoning 1600 Osgood, and maintaining the quorum requirement for town meeting, to recall only a few. Throughout that entire period, it would never have occurred to me or to anyone else that the moderator had his own agenda or that he favored one side over another. And that's the way it should be. But a moderator who is also a politician changes the dynamic, and not for the better. In my view, the role of an active, highly partisan politician is incompatible with the role of moderator. If there is even a hint that the moderator leans toward any agenda, prefers any party, or favors any faction, whether presiding at town meeting or appointing the finance committee, we risk losing the confidence of town meeting. And when a long-time political activist and politician acts as the moderator, there will always be that hint. No matter how fair and impartial that politician moderator thinks he may be, or says he is, others will suspect or be convinced that he is not, at which point the very integrity of town meeting is thrown into question. Before I close, I want to say a few words about the moderator and the finance committee. The finance committee has tremendous influence on the town and its budget, and therefore on our taxes, our schools, public safety, infrastructure, and on the entire operation of the town. By law, the Finance Committee, which is supposed to be an independent fiscal watchdog, must review the town budget every year and make written recommendations before town meeting can vote the budget up or down. Every single member of the Finance Committee is appointed by only one person, the moderator. So the moderator has tremendous and largely unseen influence over the town budget and finances. That's why it's so critically important that the moderator be genuinely impartial and completely outside of town politics. A highly political moderator who leans in only one direction and who only appoints members of the Finance Committee who also lean in that same direction compromises the independence of the Finance Committee. A politically compromised Finance Committee calls into question the integrity of their budget review, and the quality of their recommendations will always be suspect. This is why town meeting needs to be able to trust that the moderator is steering only one course, and that course must always be straight down the middle. That's the only course I will steer as moderator, straight down the middle, always. That's my pledge to the people of North Andover. It's why I'm running for moderator, and it's why I'm asking for your votes. Thank you.
Hello, this is Mark Desalvo. I've had the privilege of serving as town moderator for the past 6 years. I promised that I would be fair, open, and efficient, and I'm confident I have fulfilled that promise. I take the responsibility seriously, one in which I oversee our town meetings, appoint the Finance Committee and a majority of the School Building Committee, and act as a fair and impartial voice in town government. That's why I've established innovative rules and procedures, require all speakers to disclose any personal financial interests, embrace technology so that attendees understand each presentation and demonstrate fully transparent conduct and votes. I've worked hard to fulfill my promise to bring a 17th century tradition into the 21st century. Ethics is vital. Our town meeting is the only one in the state to require speakers to disclose conflicts of interest. Voters now know whether a speaker has a financial or family connection to an article and are able to make more fully informed and honest judgments. I apply these rules to myself and afford no person, elected or appointed officials, special privileges. My integrity and the integrity of the meeting are paramount. That's why I don't accept campaign donations. It's just another way to assure that town meeting is a straight-up effort designed and conducted for townspeople to make their best judgments. I've employed professional audiovisual and technical services to make town meeting more welcoming and efficient. This includes bringing in large screens for presentations, real-time editing of motions, open display of vote tallying, electronic check-in, as well as accepting email and text questions from viewers unable to participate in person. Today's world doesn't always make it easy to attend town meeting. That's why I instituted free childcare services so that parents are able to participate in this critical community conversation. The Finance Committee needs to give the best possible advice to our neighbors at town meeting. I've appointed skilled individuals to the most geographically, age, gender, and ideologically diverse Finance Committee in our town's history. They, working in concert with our boards, town manager, and superintendent of schools, have helped plan and execute the extraordinary expansion of facilities and services in our town these past 6 years, and done so within existing revenues, all with a AAA bond rating. I've conducted community surveys on how to improve town meeting. The good folks here at NACAM know me well, as I frequently utilize local cable TV to educate the public on town meeting happenings, and implemented a metrics-based independent statistical analysis of town meeting to help make it fairer and more efficient. I am a responsible business person, entrepreneur, university instructor, financial professional, and longtime community volunteer. These experiences have armed me with the skills needed to better serve you. Some say that my past involvement and contributions to the town as school committee member, conservation committee member, active citizen with an articulate and passionate voice somehow disqualifies me from remaining as moderator. I ask, since when is it a disqualification to be a knowledgeable and committed citizen? I hope you agree, and I ask you to reject those inaccurate claims. Many of you have observed and can attest to the fact that I am well prepared, work hard, and study diligently. I am a leader who invites cooperation and collegial contribution. I'm proud to share credit for our well-run town meetings with dozens of volunteers, over 60 in our most recent town meeting, and the town staff who contribute to town meeting. I invite you to put 2 dates in your calendar. I ask for your vote on Tuesday, March 27th, to remain as a fair, open, and efficient town moderator. As well, I ask you to come to annual town meeting on Tuesday, May 15th. I'll be there, either presiding as town moderator or sitting in the audience as citizen. Both are honorable roles. I hope to see you there. Thank you very much.
Joyce Bradshaw. I'm the town clerk for the town of North Andover, and I'm here to provide you a little bit of updates on our upcoming town election, which will be held on Tuesday, March 27th, 2018. All precincts vote at the North Andover High School, and the polls are open from 7 a.m. in the morning till 8 p.m. at night. We ask that you try to avoid the opening of school as school is in session between 7 and 7:30 or 7:45 if possible. We will have absentee ballots available for this election. There's no early voting, but you can always get an absentee ballot. You can vote in person at the town clerk's office starting around the end of the first week in March when we'll have ballots available. We also can mail you the ballot, and it can be returned or mailed back to us. That's totally available, as I said, beginning at the end of the first week in March when the ballots will be in. We also ask that you just take a few minutes to see, or if you recall, answering the annual town census that went out in mid-January. It's very important for us to have that information updated each year. It's a requirement of Mass General Law that we send out the census and you respond to it. Can't find it or not sure, you can always either call or email us. It's important because we have to send out confirmation notices, which require extra postage and an extra mailing if we have not received your census. Your census is critical to keep you as an active voter. Should you not respond to the census, you become an inactive voter. That certainly doesn't mean that you can't vote, but extra steps are required. So, simple call to our office. We can check to see if we've received the census, and if we haven't, we can verify your information and update it right into the state voter registration system. The election for this year has 2 candidates for the Board of Selectmen, 2 candidates for the school committee. The town moderator is on this ballot, and also the North Andover Housing Authority has 1 seat open. We will be posting in the next few days the actual ballot itself that'll show you who the candidates are. It's very important to the town to have the maximum exposure for how we run the town, and the Board of Selectmen, School Committee, and the town moderator, and also the Housing Authority are very important positions so that you can take the time to vote in the town election. The last day to register, if you're not already registered to vote, is Wednesday, the 7th of March. Our office is open till 8 o'clock. You can also register to vote online, or we can mail you a form. All you have to do is call our office at 978-688-9501, and we can provide you with any information you might need. If you have any questions at all, and an aside, we will be using new voting machines for the first time at the annual town election. They are just very similar to the AccuVote machines that we use successfully for 25 machines. They're the updated technology this year, so you will notice a little bit of difference. The new machines take a few extra seconds, maybe 5 to 10 seconds after you insert your ballot to be certain that your vote was accepted. So there's a little screen there that says that your ballot has been accepted. So you'll notice that little 5 or 10 seconds to make sure that your ballot has gone in properly, as it always did with our AccuVote machines. But the new technology does a little bit of extra verification to be certain that there are no reasons why your ballot might not be accepted. If for some reason there's a mark on there that it chooses to reject, it puts it right on the screen. It gives you the ability to be able to fix anything so that your ballot is absolutely valid. So we appreciate your patience, and we also looking forward to the annual town meeting. Will be the 15th of May at the high school. You'll be looking for more information on the warrant and what's going to be on the town meeting warrant. The warrant for citizen petitions closes at the close of business at 4:30 in our office on March 12th. You need any information at all about how to submit a citizen petition or need any kind of questions or assistance, please don't hesitate to give us a call. Thank you.